Hey, everybody. Ryan Molly here, and really, really excited about today's guest. We have another local legend. He's a young guy, but he's a really, really good one. Local foot and ankle surgeon. His name is Dr. Anthony Colonna. He's born and bred here, trained down in the Pittsburgh area, did some podiatry training out in the Cleveland area, but super excited to just share his story, hear more about his family, his wife's family, his two kids, and just the growing accomplishments that he's done. And he's really kind of revolutionized foot and ankle surgery, particularly bunion surgery. So stay tuned. You aren't going to want to miss this. And again, stick around till the very end. We have the Sawbones Challenge. And as always, the 7th inning Sawbones shoe stretch too. So have a great day. We'll see you soon.
All nurses to the nurses station.
Lawless country people are real close family. Lately, some of my kinfolk don't get around too good, you see. When that doctor asked them, son, how'd you get in this condition? They says, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. They want to know, Doc, why do you think I got some pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, Sawbones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, Doc.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Hey Sawbones, my story, my passion. Really, really excited about tonight's episode. We've got a great local guy. He is a podiatrist. He went to McDowell High School, so he's kind of born and raised in this area. Ended up going to Washington Jefferson for his undergrad, just south of Pittsburgh. Then moved over to the Cleveland area where he did his podiatry training at Kent State, and then did his residency back here in the Erie area. But really, really cool guy, excellent physician, surgeon. I've trusted many, many family members and a lot of my patients. He's who I send them to for foot and ankle stuff. So really excited to have him. But Dr. Anthony Colonna, how are you, buddy?
Doing well. Nice to see you. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Yeah. So thanks for taking time away from the family to come out.
Oh, yeah.
It's Thursday evening, a little after 8 o'clock.
Yep.
I was just telling him that last night, I'm a early to bed kind of guy and early to rise kind of guy. I'm usually in bed by 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm sleeping. And last night's episode was Anthony Santoro, so it'll be the week before yours airs. And we didn't start recording until 11 p.m. And it was a long one, but it was a fun one. So, and I'm looking forward to this because it's
Absolutely. It'll be great.
So one of the things, that we always do when we first start is just to learn a little bit more about you. I kind of hit the highlights of being an Erie guy, but tell us a little bit more about you kind of growing up, your family, your influences. Like what made you decide to go into to become a foot and ankle surgeon?
Yeah, absolutely. No. So like you said, I grew up in Erie. I played a lot of soccer when I grew up, and I actually injured myself playing soccer, and that spurred my interest in the foot and the anatomy of the foot and stuff like that. I actually had a sustentaculum tali fracture, which is a very rare fracture. I've actually only seen one in practice currently. Wow. And so that I
remember that name of that bone. It's somewhere down there, right?
I know. It's on the calcaneus, on the inside of it. And it was such a weird recovery and just everything about, and looking at, the physician who treated me ended up showing me picture of the bone and the x-rays and the CT scan and all that. And so that kind of spurred my interest in podiatry in general. Going back to my family, I have a sister, an older sister, and both my parents here in Erie. And My dad grew up in construction and my mom was a hairdresser. You know, neither of them went to college. And so I kind of, my uncle is Joe Dimel, and he was a physician locally.
Forgot that
So
relation.
yeah, so he kind of sparked my interest when I was, you know, first, second grade. I was scribbling my name so I could be a doctor and, you know, all that fun stuff.
Like, is it illegible enough yet, Mom?
Yeah, you're like, can you actually read what I'm writing? If you can, I'm not doing it well enough. So that was like, you know, I still wore my tool belt around and all that stuff too, you know, and I did work with my dad, and I did a ton of carpentry and stuff with my dad when I was younger. And
We have a lot more in common just in this first 5 minutes because my mom was a hairdresser.
Oh, really?
Had her own beauty shop until just a couple of years ago. She had it for over 50 years in our house.
Yeah, which my mom had one. She had it. She worked somewhere, and then when we were growing up, she was in the house, and then she's now back at a salon here locally. But
Is she still working?
she is a couple days a week.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think, and I see the stuff you do and the construction and things, and we all tinker around our house and build things. And I helped my dad build a big patio in my backyard a couple months ago, and you know, it's good to do. And I think that actually helps us as surgeons. You know,
Oh, hands down,
immensely.
like your dexterity.
Yeah.
You know, you were a step ahead than your fellow residents when you
Yeah,
were coming through. I kind of felt that too, but
Spatial recognition and just everything in general.
yeah.
So yeah, so that kind of, I mean, I knew I didn't want to do construction, and I kind of liked the idea of medicine and helping people, and kind of the podiatric thing actually just came about. I was set on dental school actually.
Okay.
And up until probably my junior year of college, and then my uncle actually mentioned to me, he said, you know, you should check out podiatry. And I went and shadowed a local podiatrist, and I also did a 1 month in a dental office, and I liked podiatry significantly more.
Yeah.
So that was kind of
Kudos to you for like getting out there and like actually observing it. Cause
Yeah.
that's a big commitment regardless of which direction you were going to go
Yeah.
to end up not really enjoying it.
Yeah. Though that's kind of what I said. I'm like, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it full bore. I'm going to know I like it. And I really thought I would love dentistry. And probably within 1 week, I'm like, absolutely not. You know, like there is no possible way I could be a dentist my entire life.
Yeah. Just in someone's mouth every day.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you're trying to talk to them, and they're like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm, no, not for me.
So do you remember the first time that we met? I always ask people that question.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Probably through Travis, right?
I know it was through Travis for sure. And I think we maybe golfed together, to tell you the truth. I think it might have been at Aqua golfing.
And you were probably like, this guy is horrible.
Well,
Travis,
and then it all comes around. But no, I do think so. I think it was golfing at Aqua. I mean, randomly one night after work or something, you were playing with him, and I think I just came up. And
Yeah,
he was
you
like,
tagged in for you didn't play.
No, I
the
think I
whole
came in
round.
7-8 holes or something like that, and so I think that was the first time we met.
T-Buzz, that common
something else.
denominator.
Yeah,
he knows everybody.
he has his hands in everything.
So, you know, I always ask my guests what they like to drink, and there's another thing that I think you and I have in common. So I asked you, but I also asked Travis. He goes, he likes IPAs and red wine. I'm like, perfect.
Those are two things I enjoy.
I got both of those things,
Yep.
and quite a few of both.
Yes,
So
yes.
we were drinking the Dogfish Head 60-minute IPA, which is actually one of my favorites. What's your favorite IPA? Are you a West Coast IPA guy? East Coast?
I do. I like West Coast Sculpin, Ballast Point Sculpin.
I've never had that one.
It's it's a California beer, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And that's one of my favorite ones. It's good. And then I actually just got my I guess cousin-in-law. He owns a place out in Edinburgh, and he got me some. I think it was called Heady Topper.
Does he own the distributor?
Burrow beer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They
So
always have a good selection.
He
down there.
he gets in like the best stuff.
Yeah.
So
Have to-
he's given me a bunch of random beers that I'm like, he's never given me a bad one.
Yeah.
And
Does
so,
he know that you're like a hophead too?
Yeah,
So
he feeds me. He knows what I'm gonna like.
have you had IPAs where you're just like, I don't like that?
Yeah, some of the super citrusy ones.
Oh, it's funny you mentioned that because I'm like, I feel like right now you go to a bar and you're like, you see all these, IPA on tap. It's like citrusy.
Yeah.
And that's not my jam, right? I'm more of a West Coast IPA guy. I do like East Coast too, but when you start throwing citrusy stuff in there, I can maybe do one.
Yeah.
But it's just not the flavor I'm looking for. I like the heavy hop.
Sure.
That
It's like maybe if
bitterness.
you're at the pool, one or
Yeah.
two of those are all right. But yeah, no, I like the hoppy.
I like the fact that
the
Kakwa
bold.
has this
Yeah.
on draft at the pool.
Oh yeah. No,
That-
this
that's-
is
it's a
these
solid
are
one
phenomenal.
to have on.
Dogfish Head. That's probably one of the actually funny story. That's one of the first IPAs I ever had, and the reason why is my buddy in college got a case of the 120 minute.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So he goes,
What's
we're
the
each going to drink
IBUs on
3
that?
of those. I don't even know. I know that it's like 11 to 13% alcohol content, so it's like, he's like, oh, we're each going to drink 3 of these and, we'll have some fun tonight. And, I got them there. Cause I mean, in college.
Next thing you know, you're waking up, it's like noon the next day. You're like,
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, okay, we'll try it out. Blah, blah. And I remember when we got him, I'm like, he's like, this was like $160 for a case, which back then, I mean, for a case of
that
beer, no
how
matter
much?
what. Yeah. I don't even know how he got a case or what
I've
it
had
was.
the 90 minute several times. I don't think I've ever had the 120 minute.
He had to like pull some strings to get it.
Sign like
And-
his first child away too.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know what you did or how you did. He came back from New Jersey with it. I
A
was like,
long trip for a
Yeah.
case of beer.
yeah, he's like, I went home and I was able to pick this up, and that was an interesting one. That tastes like gasoline,
Yeah.
but it's
Got the job done, right?
yeah, it was fun. It was a good one. So that was actually probably the first IPA. I'm like, I don't know if I like these. Then 15 years later,
Yeah.
or whatever, that's
Exactly.
probably my favorite drink.
Yeah. I feel like, like your palate changes as you get older. IPAs is one thing my palate has never changed on. Like
No.
I've always enjoyed IPAs.
Yeah.
And it's a beer that like most people when they first start drinking beer and they don't like beer, they generally really don't like this.
No, they hate
right because it doesn't taste like your Miller Lights, your Coors Lights.
No.
Your more watered down standard lagers, whatever. But
Yeah.
so well, let's get into the Q&A. So we talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll ask me 6 questions. We'll do 3 business, then 3 personal. I always remind my guests that you can veto any of the questions that you don't like, but you only get 1 veto.
Oh,
And I will also say you're like guest number 9 or 10, and no one has vetoed any questions yet.
I can't be that guy.
So no pressure. So
I will not be.
fire away.
So I thought about this, a little bit, and I'll start with one of the business questions, just as being a physician myself and stuff. And I'm very interested in patients in general, how they respond and all that stuff. So I want to be interested to see what you think the most important part of like the patient journey is, whether it's on when they first get into your office, throughput, at the end, the surgical portion, or what you think it is.
So, I mean, there's so many critically important touch points in my opinion. I think the one thing that I've personally found for myself and what I would say has allowed me to become a very successful surgeon. And to me that, and how you define that is different for everybody. But for me, it's that I do your knee, you're sending your husband or your wife to me, you're sending your neighbors to me. It's the word of mouth.
Yeah.
I mean, that is by far and away the most popular referral source that we have is word of mouth, 95+% of the time. But that being said, the moment to me that I feel like those patients know that I'm the right guy for them is during my once a month educational seminars that I do. And I've
Okay.
done that my entire career.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was grinding. I was doing 6 a month. I would go, well, I mean, your wife is from the Metro Detroit area. So
Yes.
I practiced for the first 5 years of my career up in Livonia.
Yeah.
And I would go to the Livonia Senior Center. I'd go to the Northville Senior Center. I'd go to the Greek Church. I'd go to the Italian American Club. I'd go to Panera, and I'd just sit down at a table like nobody. And by the end, I'd have 6 patients there sitting and just talking to them. And I would do seminars again in those communities, senior communities, churches. And then I would do 1 per month that I required all of my patients that I was going to operate on the following month to come to. It's a mandatory component
Sure.
for pre-op
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
And I've carried that through. And now, I mean, I had one last Thursday. There was like 80 people there.
Yeah.
It's huge.
That's
and
awesome.
that to me is the opportunity for them to kind of like get to see me a little bit more and get to really understand who I am a little bit more.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, that was one of the main reasons that I started this podcast was I wanted patients to be able to like, to relate with me and know that I'm more than a guy with a white coat that cuts you open and puts metal and plastic in you. Like
Sure,
I have
yeah.
a personality.
Mm-hmm.
I have hobbies outside of doing hip and knee surgery. I have very, very good friends that I have a tremendous amount of respect for. And to me, I love being able to share my guests' stories.
Yeah,
because that is like so important to me is like, I'm a local guy. I believe in supporting local people. And I love telling the stories because again, there's just so much that I learn. Like Travis, I think I know a lot about him. Jared, my best friend, I think I know. And then he tells me stuff and Travis tells me stuff and you're going to tell me a lot of stuff that I never knew about you.
Sure. Yeah.
So, all right. Question 2.
So the other one I was going to ask you about where do you see total joint arthroplasty being in 10, 15 years from now? What advancements do you think will be there? Or where do you think it will be?
Oh, that's a tough question. I mean, I feel like medicine is always rapidly evolving. Right now, I think the big thing with arthroplasty, hip and knee replacement surgery, 15, 20 years ago, it was surgical technique, direct anterior hip replacements. And, fortunately, I was trained to be able to do that. And that's become a huge part of my practice. About 5 years ago, I switched my surgical technique on my knees from mechanical alignment, which is taking a bow leg and making it straight, or taking a knock knee and making it straight. That's what every orthopedic surgeon up here in Erie does.
Yeah.
And 95% of the world, how they do it.
Sure.
And that's how I did it prior to 2018. And then I kind of changed religions and started doing kinematic alignment, which is literally resurfacing the bone. So we take the same amount off of the medial and lateral distal femoral condyles and the tibia, and we're putting the joint line obliquity. We're matching that with the angle of the joint. So when someone's standing on a full length film, you can see their angle is very rarely ever parallel with the floor. It's usually tilted like this.
Yeah.
And it's different degrees. And so now we can customize that and do, if you had a 3-degree proximal medial tibial angle, we would reproduce that. If you had a 7-degree distal lateral femoral angle, I know these are big technical terms, we would reproduce that. But I think what's really coming right now, and I think a lot of it is fluff, but like robotics.
Sure. That's.
I think there's a huge marketing push from hospitals and implant vendors. Like it's like, how do we stay ahead? How do we maybe recoup more, get more of the share of what's in the community?
Sure.
And more volume. But I think like artificial intelligence is going to be big.
Yeah.
I think virtual reality or VR is big. Like there's surgical goggles that I've seen. I haven't yet used them in surgery that's giving you real-time feedback. Think about like a heads-up display on your car when you can drive and you can see your speedometers up on your windshield, kind of like a hologram. So that's the same thing you would wear. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have it in podiatry. Have you seen that?
I've seen it, and not specific to one field or another, but I've seen that idea.
Yeah. So I think that is like, it's and technology is like always advancing, right? So I do think that that's going to be a big thing over the next 5 to 10 years. Am I going to jump on that bandwagon and start doing it? Probably not. I would not say I'm a young surgeon. I'm probably, I'm in my mid 40s. I'm 44, going to be 45 in a couple months.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like what I consider the prime of my career. But I'm kind of an old fashioned surgeon. Like I believe in seeing things well, being super meticulous, and relying on good surgical technique as opposed to a bunch of gadgets.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And the last one was, I was going to say, what is your favorite or your best investment in your practice? What do you think your best investment in your practice would be?
Wow. There's a couple things. I want to say one without like sounding arrogant, because there absolutely is no arrogance behind this. But so I don't gamble, right? It's not a religious thing. Like if I'm going to like a fair or something like that, I'll throw a quarter down or here or there. Or if I go to Vegas, like I just, there's no interest that I have in that whatsoever. The only thing I ever gamble on is like myself. So like my best investment was just going all in on me. and knowing that like failure wasn't an option. I was going to meet a lot of roadblocks. I was going to meet a lot of people trying to take me down. And it happens daily, right? It continues. But like, to me, it was just like, I know that I'm just not going to give up. Like, so that probably is like one of my number one investments. The number two though is my team and my staff.
Yeah.
Right.
I 100% agree with that.
And I'm a firm believer in you have to treat, and you know, my staff may be watching this and they may disagree, but I think I really take care of my staff in terms of compensation, productivity bonuses for all of the providers. I'm extremely open and honest and transparent with all of that. I healthcare benefits. I do profit sharing. I do 401k matching. I hired a life coach recently to come in every Wednesday to work for 3 or 4 hours with my staff, my leadership team. And I've invested a lot of time and energy into that. Travis is on that leadership team, and he's tremendously valuable in bringing. I mean, you know Travis well personally.
Absolutely.
You work with him a little bit professionally, right?
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
And the level of service that he brings to the table is unlike any other person that I've ever met in his like field. He is a service oriented guy, and it shows. And he gained my trust and faith very, very quickly, which very rarely happens with me. It's got to be earned, and it takes time.
No, Trav, I can't say anything bad about him. I mean, especially he's helped me out.
He's a little short.
Ton. Well, you can't.
Right?
Hold
He's
that
got a bubble
against
butt
him.
too.
Genetics. But as for service, no, he takes care of us quite.
We
often.
love you, Trav.
Quite often, and he always does a good job. So, you know, yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
And staff wise, I mean, I can't echo that anymore. I mean, that to me, that is one of the most important things, to treat them like a human, treat them how you want to be treated, your patients, staff, everyone. And then also, you know, get good people around you and take care of them.
Exactly. Right. Because if you don't, they're not going to be there much longer.
No, absolutely not.
And if you don't treat them well, you know, you can compensate them well, but if you don't like say hello to them and just treat them like a human being, just like they are, and don't think, the one thing that my mentor, Dr. Lombardi, used to say to me all the time was, he'd say, hey, Ryan, you can never, you know, fault somebody or complain or bitch or moan if things are not running as smoothly as you would like them to go, or as efficiently or as quickly, if you're not willing to get dirty and do the things 100%. That anyone else would do. So he taught me very early on in my career to grab a mop and go in the OR and mop, open trays, put sheets on the bed. There's no task that is too small or beneath me, right?
Yep.
And it's leading by example too, because if your staff sees you going in and changing sheets on a bed or rolling the bed out or just asking, hey, how can I help? Sometimes I feel like I'm in the way because they do it way better than I do it, because I don't do it that often.
Sure.
But, you know, it's a team effort. I'm a huge team, you know, proponent, and couldn't do what I do on a daily basis without the amazing group of providers, physicians, PAs, nurse practitioner, and then all the other staff, the nurses, the x-ray technicians, the administrative staff, the receptionists. So we're very blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree.
So personal stuff.
So as you said, we have a lot in common.
Yeah. So
I'm raising 2 boys, and I have a wife from Michigan. You're raising 3 boys. You have a wife from Michigan.
Yeah.
I guess what's a piece of advice you'd give me to keep it running smooth?
So, I mean, I think you probably do a really nice job of this already, but to me, it's like finding that work-life balance, and it took me a while, right? Because when I was first very young in my career, it was like you're just out of training. All you want to do is just like operate, and the stresses of like not running the business side of the practice, but just like being a surgeon without like a security blanket anymore.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And that's probably 2 or 3 years. And then to me, then it was like building a business, and which I'm constantly building stuff and adding new companies and this and that. But, and I don't even remember when this was, but I always made it a very big point to be very involved with the boys. So I would suggest, you know, if you can, if you have the time, if you have the desire, if your boys play soccer, baseball, whatever. I coached every single one of my boys with every sport that they wanted to play. I've kind of taken a step back from that now because they're getting a little bit older, and I want to be able to enjoy, because I feel like if I'm coaching somebody's baseball team, I'm going to be missing somebody else's baseball
For sure.
game. It's not fair. So, and I also find that I'm probably just a better parent than I am a coach because I get a little too intense. So getting involved, just cherishing your time with your family, because, we put a lot of stress on ourselves with being surgeons and physicians and taking care of patients. And there's a lot of baggage that goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And to come home and to, take it out on either your kids or your wife, it never made sense to me. I can come home and have a bad day, which to me, I love what I do. Like there's very few days where I come home and I'm ever complaining because I'm just excited about what I do.
Sure.
But I also don't come home and want to talk about it either because I just did it all day. So when I come home, I'm just kind of like, I don't want to talk about work.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be dad and husband at that point.
And my wife's, she's really good with that. And she's just like, if you want to talk to me about anything, talk, but otherwise just be here and be present. And I'm like, I try that. And I think I do decent,
You'll get better at it too with time, just because anything takes work, right?
Sure.
Relationships take work. Being a successful physician, surgeon takes work. Being a good dad takes work. And, we're constantly improving. Mm-hmm. Am I going to say I'm the best dad in the world? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Right. But hopefully I'm a better dad tomorrow than I was today. And that's like my goal in life too. Whatever I do, I just want to be a little better than I was the day before.
Keep going.
1%, right?
Yep.
1%.
Absolutely.
What else?
Where was your favorite place you ever vacationed?
Ooh, so I've been very fortunate. I've traveled a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the place that I keep going back to because I feel just very drawn, and it's Italy. I've been all over Italy. I've been to Italy probably not quite 10 times, but good 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I've been to Rome, I think 3 or 4 times. I've been to Cinque Terre 4 times. We went to the Amalfi Coast, which is like one of my newest favorite places this past fall, and really fell in love with that area. My family's from Tuscany, so we spent some time up there, and so I like the lifestyle there. I love the food there. The country is just beautiful. It's mountainous. But then you can get to the coast, and everything's pretty quick. People are super friendly and nice. So I'm gonna go with Italy.
That's mine also.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Venice the best.
I've never been. So that's like one of the cities I still need to hit.
Phenomenal. I mean, and I've heard negativity about it and this and that. And when my wife and I went there, we loved Venice and Cinque Terre. Loved it.
Oh, did you go there?
Yeah.
Did you hike it?
We did.
Yeah. How many cities did you guys get in? Because I know the trails have been closed for a couple of years.
I think we did 2 cities.
Okay.
So this is actually funny. When we went to Cinque Terre, we got an Airbnb. It was just actually my wife and I, right in Rio
Maggiore.
Yeah. So right on the water, real nice, overlooking everything. And the guy we went, Bruno or Antonio, I went to see him and I said, "Hey, we're here." Phenomenal, like you said, just such a nice guy, welcoming and this, that. And so he goes, I said, "Well, what do you think? What should we do? We want to go eat and, check it out and whatever." He goes, "You do this, you check out, you see this guy and you do blah, blah, blah." And so he goes, "First, you need to take this bus. You go to the top of the hill and you eat your lunch at this place." And I said, "Okay." And he goes, "Then you're going to come out of there. You're going to make a right and you're going to go down that path. And then you're going to come down and, you tell me all these things." He goes, "You feel it here in Cinque Terre. First, you feel it in your legs, then you feel it in your belly, then you feel it in your head." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You hike, you eat, and then you drink." I was like, all right. So it was, I remember that like it was yesterday, talking with this guy and just like your buddies basically within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're so welcoming, happy to have you. So yeah, I loved Italy.
We actually, the last time we were there, I've hiked Cinque Terre, I think 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
The last time my buddy from undergrad, Greg Beato,
Yeah.
He's a team physician down at Virginia Tech now. And then one of my good buddies who's Italian, Giacomo.
Yeah.
He works with the Medacta, the orthopedic implant manufacturer that I use for my hip and knee products.
Yeah.
And we did this hike I can't remember. We started in northern cities. I think Monte Rosso was the first one, but
Sure.
but I remember when I hiked it back in 2009, there was this little bar up at the top at one of these mountains that you hike to. You can't get to it by vehicle. And I was like, God, if I ever hike this again, I want to go there again. And we sat down and we each had a beer there. It was just so memorable. It was very cool.
No, that's a very awesome place.
Yeah. So that was 3, right? That was
2.
That was 2. Okay.
I think.
All right. You got one more. Fire away.
So what's your ideal retirement?
Like age or
just, I think,
like what am I
whether it's
doing?
age or where you're at, where you're living, who,
Yeah. So I don't think I will ever fully retire. Right.
Okay.
I won't be doing surgery forever.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I mean, it's a grueling, it's a grind. Like a lot of people, they don't realize how physical what we do is. And, I mean, it's like you probably sit for the majority of your surgeries, right?
Yeah.
So it's different for me. I'm standing for all my surgeries and it's like bigger joints.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that what you do is like easy physically, but
Sure.
we're swinging heavy mallets. And so it takes its toll. There's a lot of like, I have neck pain every day.
Yeah.
This is a long-winded answer to your question, but so I see myself retiring from surgery, but continuing on with my business, entrepreneurial spirit. Because that,
absolutely.
quite honestly, I never knew I had or I enjoyed, and I'm enjoying that like a tremendous amount. Just like building companies and trying to figure out solutions to common problems that a lot of people would normally say it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a problem and I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Type thing. No, that's good.
So, but like I love to travel. So I would see doing a lot of like remote work, probably a lot of consulting work, stuff that can be done if I'm at the beach, if I'm hiking in Arizona, if I'm in Italy. And Karen and I, some of the best memories I have ever had with her are when it's just her and I, and we're traveling. And we've had some amazing, like we went to Greece for our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Trying to plan a trip to Greece this upcoming summer because she's Greek, and I want to bring the boys obviously, and then I want to bring her parents because they weren't able to make it when we went to Italy this past fall because my father-in-law was ill. Okay, but he's doing much better now. So good. We're hoping to make that happen this summer.
Nice. So, yeah, we went to Greece too, and that was awesome. Where'd
you go there?
We did. So we got a cruise through Italy. We left out of Rome, down to Sicily. We went to Santorini, Mykonos.
Yeah. We were in Santorini for the week.
Was it? Or Napoleon. We went to Olympia.
Okay.
So that was probably when I finally paid off my student loans as a gift to myself and my parents and her parents for always being there and helping us. So I took them.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we all 6 of us went on that cruise, and then her grandma came, and so it was cool.
Do your parents and your in-laws get along well?
Oh yeah, they love each other.
Yeah.
Like it was like the first time they met. We met in Cleveland and got hotel rooms and went out to dinner, and it was like me and Carly were like the 5th and 6th wheel. Like I'm like, well, this is good for us, So no, they get along very, very well.
That's awesome. I'm very blessed with that.
Yeah, they're good people. So
yeah, ready to roll reverse this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so business questions. All right, I'm gonna do these a little bit out of order because I'm gonna stick with kind of what I typically do. But who is there like an individual that you can say was really kind of your mentor or your major influence to choose what you do professionally on a day-to-day basis? Was there like a person you're like, this is who I can say really influenced me?
Yeah, I'd say, I mean, I do think that my uncle, just being a physician, that kind of brought me to the table of thinking about it and considering it and, in general, the lifestyle and everything about it. And so I think probably him, to be honest, from
Joe?
an early, Joe Dimel, from an early perspective. And then, I mean, I did with Fred Tomasi, local podiatrist. That's who I first was introduced to podiatry. And I then in my residency, I worked with him quite often, and, Italian guy, and him and I always got along very well. I didn't go into the private aspect of it that he was in. I'm, hospital employed and stuff, but either way, he's always, whether it's a business acumen or, he's always been a good guy, even through residency and things that I think, I think it was more not even podiatric in nature. It was just him in general. He kind of taught me how to be a good physician, and obviously he taught me things podiatric and foot and ankle and this and that, but also I think just as a person, he was always a good guy. And so I kind of always looked up to him.
Yeah.
And so
that's
he's
important.
He's still working. He's older and still grinding away.
How old is he now?
I think he's probably low 60s. And
okay. So he's still,
but he's won't retire, I don't think.
Yeah.
He's like,
enjoying it.
Yeah, he loves it. So he goes into the office and he's a good guy. So he's probably one of them.
Nice. So, you work on anything from tibia down, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What if you could say, and I know you do a lot of different surgeries, but
Sure,
is there one surgery that you're like, you get really geeked about and you really enjoy? And if you had like the classic question, one food, one meal for the rest of your life, you're on a desert island, what would it be? One surgery the rest of your life on a desert island, what would it be? And you do a ton of them too, by the way.
Yes. Yeah. No, I do everything. And I'd say if you asked me this 3 years ago, this would not even have been, this had been on my low list of what I like to do. But I'd say the minimally invasive bunion. I mean, it's been a game changer for me. The patient outcomes, just satisfaction, how the surgery's done, the technique behind it, and then also the things that I learn every time I do it. I did one this morning. And it's every single, whether it's a 18-year-old or a 75-year-old or whatever, they all have different anatomy, different this, that, the other thing, and I'll tell you. If bunion surgery used to be my least favorite surgery to do, it is now my most favorite. And I don't think that will change. And it's just, I've really got into that. And I think I do a lot of minimally invasive surgery in general. Mm-hmm. So I think that encompassing, those are my favorite, but that specific one is my favorite. I just think people do so well with it.
I still don't, and I'm going to talk a little bit of shop, still don't understand how it freaking works. I mean, and for any orthopedic surgeons, foot and ankle surgeons out there, when you're cutting the bone, like when you fracture a bone, like the basics of like what we called our governing body was AO. I did an AO fellowship in Grenoble, France, where we learned, anatomic reduction, as much surface contact as possible, put the pieces of the puzzle exactly back to where they are, because that will ensure good osseous union or give you your best chance for it.
Sure, absolutely.
You're cutting a bone and you're barely having any contact between those bones.
Yeah.
And totally shaving sides off. And it's just like, I've seen the x-rays, I've seen the results, I've seen the final stuff too. And I've seen a lot of your patients. I mean, one of them's my neighbor.
Yeah.
And Karen will probably be one of them very soon here.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand. It just seems to defy physics to me.
You're right. And the funny thing is, when you had texted me a couple days ago, one of the near text to that I saw was side-by-side image of minimally invasive bunion, an x-ray. Because you're like, how does it work? Like, why does it work? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, because I didn't buy in.
Yeah.
So Fred Tomasi actually was one of the first people that ever did any type of minimally invasive surgery. And I always poo-pooed it. I said, oh, come on. Like, really, you're going to do this and this is going to work. And why wouldn't just do it open? You can see it. You can fix it. You're done. But it works. I mean, I did it. I went to a course. I was probably one of the first people around here that went to this specific course, down in Naples. And I said, well, I'll give it a whirl, try one or two, see how they do. Didn't do a ton right off the bat. And then those people came back and it's like, they're begging for their next one to be done. And previously it's like bunion surgery. Everyone comes in, they're like, I don't want to do that again. I'm happy with what you did, but no, thank you.
Yeah.
This is like 6 weeks. The amount of people that have both of them done with this is astronomical compared to previous.
Wow.
So
what would you say like your second surgery percentage was before? Like assuming that they both needed it, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Like, would you say 25% before, and now it's 75%, or what?
Yeah, probably in the maybe 20 to 25, and now it's. I mean, if they need it, I'd say probably 75 to 90.
Wow.
You know, and it's
a game changer.
Absolutely. I mean, and so that to me speaks volumes.
How many years have you been doing that?
Probably about 2.5 to 3 years. I've done actually. I was talking with the Arthrex rep today about it, and he's like, I was trying to think about how many you've done, and they switch people in between and stuff like that. He's like, it's probably 300, 400. I don't know. Like, I mean, so it's been quite a lot in a couple of years, in the first probably 6-8 months, I only did a few because I wanted to make sure it worked.
Right.
I wasn't just going to come in and be like, I'm doing this on everyone, and then it comes back and it doesn't work, and then after that, it just took off. And like you said, word of mouth, and, you get really good patients that believe in you and trust you. And so that to me, like, that's a big trust building surgery too. Like people, they have it done. It's like a hip or a knee. I mean, they have a ton of pain and then they come back 3 weeks later and they're like, I feel great. Like they're going to come to you for everything.
Yeah.
And so like, if I can start with a minimally invasive bunion, I have a patient for life, you know? So like, that's another kind of way I see it too. And
yeah,
I mean,
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So they're usually happy.
So, what's your? I'm going to ask my last business question, but it's like a two-parter.
Okay.
What's the absolute most favorite part of what you do as a foot and ankle surgeon? And on the tail of that, what's the absolute least favorite part of what you do as a foot and ankle surgeon? It could be the business. It could be particular procedures. It could be dealing with patients. It could be dealing with staff, whatever.
Sure. So I think I'll start with the least favorite because I think it's probably every physician's least favorite, and it's prior authorizations and insurance in general. I mean, I think right now we're at a flexion point really in society where it's like the doctors and other people really need to step up and, get these insurance companies to realize that we're the doctors, and it's just little things, I mean, it could be a simple generic medication that needs a prior authorization that takes 40 minutes, or, a surgery that needs this, that, or the other thing. And then you call the physician on the other end to do a peer-to-peer. And a ankle ligament tear, right? I mean, I did one of these a couple days ago. I asked the guy, I said, so how many of these have you done? He goes, well, I'm a general practitioner. I said, okay, so this patient came in presenting with these symptoms, well, and it's a formality. They give me the MRI, or they approve the surgery. Why?
Yeah,
why are we spending time?
It's almost like, is he really going to do it? If he is willing to take the time and effort to do it, we're going to let him do it. But
yeah,
I'm right there with you. How about the flip side though? How about the positive?
So I think it's in two parts in general. I mean, I think when patients are happy with surgical outcomes, when they come in ecstatic, when they tell their friends about it, when someone, even, an 85, 9-year-old lady comes in and you did something for her that she's had issues forever. No one told her she could ever have something done, and she did it, and she's crying in your office or ecstatic, or bakes you a cake or something like that, that's cool. Patient happiness and satisfaction. Yeah. And also I actually enjoy, like, some people are like, well, I don't clip toenails, or I don't do that, or whatever. I do everything. I mean, I do some of the more complex foot and ankle surgeries that you can do, and I clip toenails. And I mean, when I'm clipping toenails, I get to know the patients and I talk to them, and, I take 2 to 3 minutes, and, it's a little bit of time, but, I'm doing something so mundane and so simple to do, but it makes people leave there happy, and it's instant gratification.
If I go get some clippers, will you clip mine right now?
I'll do it.
My hips are getting
I'll
bad.
do it.
And
if you
we
need
could do
it done,
a podcast.
Let's do
right?
it. I'm in.
So,
but
I just trimmed them the other day. But
people,
like
it's like
I hear what
like
you're saying.
Rather than you're just examining, whatever it may be, and you're this, that, and I'm talking to my scribe or whatever. It's such a simple task that I don't have to worry about what I'm doing.
Yeah,
and I get to learn about their kids or their family or whatever. So I enjoy that too.
Awesome. So personal stuff.
Yeah.
So, did you say you have one sibling?
I do.
Okay. And are you older or younger?
I'm younger.
Okay. Growing up, what were some of your best memories and fun things to do like in Erie during the summer with your family and your friends?
So I played a ton of soccer. So it was like I always felt like that kind of took over a lot of my life in the summer and stuff like that.
What organization were you playing with?
Erie Admirals.
Okay, so were you up at like Family First?
Yeah, and we were like premier, and so we're traveling every weekend and this and that. So like that was fun, and my family went with me, and whether both my parents and my sister, but those were always fun. But it's like business trips, kind of. But we often went to Ocean City, Maryland, and it was with my family and also my second family, which is my buddy Jeremy Blymiller, and his parents and stuff. And we always went there, and so I guess it wasn't in Erie in general, but it was with an Erie crew.
Yeah.
And that we were actually, my wife and I were talking. I took the last week of September off, and we're like, where should we go? And I was like, maybe we should go to Ocean City just to bring back the good old times. But the weather's not quite what I wanted it to be, so I think we're gonna go somewhere else. But just in general, like I remember that trip every summer, like and it was pretty much every summer for many years, and so that was one of the good memories I had. Nice. Also, I like jet skiing. We would jet ski down in the lake on Lake Erie, and that was fun too.
Awesome. Do you have any jet skis now?
I don't, and I kind of wanted to buy one, but I barely golf enough to justify. So my wife's like, "How are you gonna get a jet ski?"
I haven't played since the member guest. I played in like one scramble.
Yeah.
With Drew Dymel.
Oh yeah.
Over at Lawrence Park.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't really like scrambles.
No, I hate them.
It's like you're not playing the way that you normally play, so you're just kind of like swinging free. I'm slicing the ball left because I'm just like swinging for the fences. But
especially with him on your team.
Yeah, exactly right. So Drew, love playing with you, but man, you can create some bad habits really quickly because you're like, Drew will hit a great shot.
Yep.
But all right, second question. So your wife is from the Metro Detroit area.
Yes.
Is she from St. Clair Shores or
Macomb?
Okay. And I spent some time up in that area for my residency, and then, my wife being from there, I was in Michigan, Metro Detroit for 10 years. Mm-hmm. But did you ever spend much time either there or up north Michigan?
So she has a camp up north, like not really up north. They call it up north. They're up north. It was 2 hours away.
Yeah. Where was she? Where
it was? I forget the name of the city. It was right up 75, 2 hours basically.
Okay.
And it was a little camp.
Was it on the lake?
Actually, nice little house. It's by a lake, pretty close, like Clear Lake, I think it might be called.
Like an inland lake. It's not like on the
inland lake. No,
west. No. You're not talking Charlevoix or Traverse City or any of those.
But I've been up there too.
Yeah.
And I love Traverse City. The
great.
Wineries and stuff like that are phenomenal.
It's a great place in the summer.
Yeah. No, I enjoy it. And we were just back there. Even her parents got a pontoon boat, and we were out on, I think, Lake St. Clair last 2 weekends ago. And, it's a great place. It's kind of like Erie.
Yeah.
In general, but northern Michigan's different. And like that Sleeping Bear Dunes.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Madonna's parents have a winery up there?
Oh, really?
It's called Ciccone.
Okay.
We've been to it several times, Karen and I. And they still it's operational and they actually work there.
Really?
It's not just like we own it and we rarely come. Like they're actually physically.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah. It's kind of what they do.
Yeah. That's cool.
You have two boys.
Two boys, yep.
Is it done or are we gonna try
Let God decide?
Yeah, okay. So
we'll see what happens.
The goalie hasn't been put in the net yet.
No. We'll see. I mean, I'm very happy with where we're at right now, and
because yours are young too.
They
right?
are. I mean, one just turned 3, Pearson, and Lux will be 2 in a month and a half. So they're only 14 months apart. It's been fun, and they're at a great age right now, and like finally we're about to like do some traveling with them and things like that. And I'm like, do we want to go backwards? Like, do we want to try and have a girl? Are you gonna have one? You're gonna have another boy? I mean, in which I love the boys. My wife, I think, is a good boy mom. So
same with Karen.
Yeah. So she's like, I don't even know if I really want to have a girl. And so we'll see. But
yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Obviously not anymore because my wife likes to joke that her eggs are dried up. But we're both in our mid-40s. So it's a little different. But
absolutely.
I would definitely, if she was like game for it, I would definitely go for another fourth. Secretly hoping it would be a girl, but if it was a boy, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're ecstatic with our 3 boys.
That's the thing.
And it's a lot of fun. They keep us on our toes, and they're super active.
Yeah.
So. And your grandparents are all like, are they like your parents are here, right?
My parents are here.
And so do your in-laws come in much?
They do. Yeah, they do. They enjoy, like, they love Erie. Like, in general.
Would they ever relocate here?
So she has 2 sisters that live up there. They have a little, some family up there. I wouldn't be blown away if they, considered it, but they both have really good jobs up there and they're pretty well put. But I mean, they love it. They come often. They enjoy coming. They come for holidays. I mean, sometimes like they'll come to Christmas here and go to my family's. I have a huge extended family, and we always meet up every Christmas brunch with my mom's side and dinner with my dad's side, and they come and they fit right in, and they're like, yeah, we're coming up for Christmas this year, and we're like, great, we don't have to travel. Number one, and number two, we have fun, and it's a big family, and they enjoy it. And
we kind of made a rule once we had kids, like we were done traveling. Like, if you want to see them, you can come to us. And I absolutely love my in-laws. I'm so blessed. That, I mean, they're so easy to get along with, and they come quite frequently. They'll come, probably every 6 weeks or so. Yeah, and we like going out there. We obviously don't get to get out there as much as I think Karen or I would like to, but to see her, her aunt, her cousin's husband, Pete, and then Pete. They have 2 boys too, so it's always nice getting out there. So, but the next thing we always do is we kind of go into what's called the 7th inning Sawbones shoe stretch. Okay. So I asked you to bring or wear a pair of either very comfortable favorite shoes or ones that have like a unique story. So what are you kicking here?
So these here are my they're Colons. They're more of like active, dressier. You can use them how you like them type thing. But the reason I wore these is these are actually the shoes I wore to Augusta. So when we went last year, I wore these shoes, and so they bring back like a good. I wore them in Italy too. But I mean, I was thinking
a little
Augusta.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. So that's kind of being a podiatrist. You'd think I'd be a shoe guy. I'm not. I have a bunch of different shoes, but they're all just like Asics, New Balance.
So you're not.
Like I'm like, okay, I'll pull these out and wear them. I just pop them on and leave. You know. But I was like, when you said that, I'm like, shoes. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I said, actually, I wore these to Augusta. I mean, these touched the sacred ground of Augusta National.
So, by the way, thank you again for getting me that gear.
Yeah,
he got me, when he was down there, he asked, hey, do you want any Augusta gear? So got me a nice Masters green hat, as well as, is it a quarter zip? Yeah. Long sleeve quarter zip. So I will Venmo you for that later, but thank you again. Absolutely. And I was commenting on his shoes earlier. I said, I have the exact same pair. I love Colons. Yeah. It's funny how like you get in phases. Like there was a phase where I wore a ton of Colons and I wore a ton of the Magnanis, which the Spanish shoe that I was telling you about that Matt Zim was kind of describing. And then as time has gone, I've gotten just way more casual. So like, and my Jordans are now kind of like my dress shoes. If I'm going to something where I wouldn't wear them, which I haven't been to anything where I wouldn't have worn my Jordans as dress shoes, because I feel like life has changed, right? Yeah. Like Karen and I will go out to dinner, like, ooh, do you think we can wear this? And she's like, the world is so casual now. Yeah. And we went to this really nice sit down dinner this past weekend in Sandusky. It was like the hotel restaurant, but it was very nice. I was like, are we like underdressed? And she's like, as long as you don't have swimsuits on, you're fine. Yeah.
You're wearing a shirt, you're good.
Yeah. So I'm wearing the Jordan 5 high university blue, Carolina blue. I'm usually not a high top guy at all. I like lows way better. They're just a lot more comfortable, but this is one of those pairs where I with my collection, I couldn't turn it down because I'm a huge, not only Jordan fan, but a Carolina fan. So anytime I see the Carolina colorway, I'm kind of a sucker for that. So, and I like the 5s too.
Those are
They're
awesome.
always
Those are
so
great shoes.
just very big, very 1980s ish, right?
Yeah,
And you
they
get that
are.
really big
That tongue, baby.
That tongue. You could
could-
take a line drive baseball there,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't even feel it.
You didn't even know what happened.
So, well, next thing we're gonna do is the Sawbones Challenge.
Okay.
So, as always, ask you to leave comments, suggestions, anything else that you may want to see. But stick around. We're gonna do the Sawbones Challenge in a little bit. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and then we'll come back and kind of wrap it up and do our closing. So, see you in a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
All right, everybody, Sawbones Challenge. Dr. Anthony Colonna. We've talked about the rules. 5-3. First one to make 5. All right, you go first.
Go.
One up.
Oh my goodness.
That's for you, Nico.
Ah. Oh God. I'm telling you, I'm a defender.
Bingo.
There you go.
All right.
Edit that.
Oh, it's all good fun. Oh, all right.
Maybe we should do a golf challenge.
He already beat me in that.
Bingo.
Hey,
All right, 4.
comeback time. Comeback time. Maybe we need to give him some defense.
Oh.
Airball,
Oh God.
There it is.
Let's do a golf.
Hey,
There it is. Hey, we would like to thank our rebounders, Anthony Molly, Nico Spano, Big Lou Molly, and Santino.
best of all.
All right, welcome back from the Sawbones Challenge. Anthony, I just want to thank you again for joining me tonight. This has been a lot of fun getting
Yeah,
to
thanks for
learn
having me.
more about you, getting another excuse to drink a good IPA. And but where do you see yourself? I mean, you asked me kind of where I saw orthopedics in 5 to 10 years. Where do you
Yeah.
see yourself, like both personally, professionally, with your life?
Yeah. Obviously I'm relatively young. I'm 37, so I'll still be practicing, hopefully refining surgical techniques and doing things to try and really make an impact I really enjoy the minimally invasive stuff. So, that's kind of where I've focused a lot of my energy. So hopefully I can make an impact in that and continue to train surgeons. I am blessed to be able to have 9 residents that work with me, through the LECOM residency program, and they're fantastic, and it's very interesting and awesome to be able
Do you
to.
enjoy that?
I do.
'Cause
I do.
It takes a special person to have that patience and be able to like hand things over.
Yes.
Right.
And I'm not the greatest. I'm good in general with that, but it's very, you have to trust the person. Like
Yeah.
you said, it takes a while to really trust someone. And they're all good kids. Overall, I haven't really had a ton of people where I'm like, I don't want to have you do anything, or, so I think, and if they do come out that they're not good, it's my fault.
Yeah.
Partially, so I think that, so I want to continue to, adapt myself as a surgeon, a person, a human, father, but also one thing that I've gotten into in the past couple of years, and pretty much every podcast I listen to as I'm driving, which I do commute a little bit for work and things, is real estate investing and private equity type stuff. So I got into real estate syndications, and a couple of them I just invested in a private equity deal and with a really cool surgical company that's doing like OR optimization and efficiencies and stuff like that. So that's kind of my itch that I'm scratching right now, and I hope that it really takes off, because I mean, I think passive income or some sort of, other thing other than medicine is important.
You need to have something.
Yeah.
Right.
So whether it's, and I don't even know that I care about the income as much as really just learning and trying and doing different things, whether it's, right now I'm thinking, the Airbnb arbitrage and this and that and all these different you hear all these people talk about things, and I just don't want to have analysis paralysis. So I jump into things and I try things, and my wife's like, "You're really going to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm doing it. We have to. Like, why not? Give it a whirl."
And if
you
it
believe
doesn't
in it.
work, right? Like any risk, anything worthwhile in life requires risk.
Yes.
And if there's no risk associated with it, probably not that worthwhile. And I'm not going to waste any of my time or energy or my money on it. So I'm not, I'm very much like you, where I take calculated risks. So,
Sure.
Right. Like, I'm not just jumping into anything without doing market research and understanding. And I need to truly believe in something for me to make it happen or invest in it. But I love that. I mean, that's you're diversifying what you do and how you do it and how you can provide for your family. And plus, it's just fun, I think, just to learn new things. Like, for me, the business development that I've gained over the past 5 years of just owning my own practice and other little side businesses that it's allowed me to start up have been just number one, tremendously fun. I that my new rule, because I'm approaching middle age here if I'm not there already.
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything in life anymore unless it's fun. And I'm not doing anything in life anymore unless I can do it and enjoy the people I'm doing it with. Sure. Those are my two basic rules. Yeah. So, but that being said, it's been a pleasure. I want to thank you again for coming on.
No, I appreciate you inviting me. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And again, if you guys need anything, foot, ankle, this is your guy. So Northwest Pennsylvania, even the tri-state area. Like I said, I've trusted many family members with him, as well as essentially all my foot and ankle patients. So
I appreciate it.
Thanks again, bud.
Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So again, if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, we ask you to subscribe as well, but leave those comments and make sure that you are subscribing every Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. We have a new guest, again, celebrating just local legends and stories. And that's why I do this. And quite honestly, this has been one of the most enjoyable projects. There's no secondary gain for me from this other than just being able to share my story and my guest stories. So thanks again for tuning in, and stay tuned. We're going to give you a little sneak peek as to next week's guest. Have a great day.
Well, my name is Archana. I'm from India. So I guess most of my friends know that. They call me Arch. I was born in a small town in rural North India. It's a farming town. Most of the people are farmers. My dad's family, so there were 5 brothers, sisters. Only my father went to college. Well, as you and I both know, like, this question has always, like, it's bothered. All physicians go through this, but physicians have some of the highest stress in their lives. I mean, there is such high rate of depression, actually substance abuse, suicide rates. It's so high.
Number one, did you know that we just took the number one spot? Highest suicide rate in the United States by profession is now physicians. It was dentists for a long time. And do you know who has the highest suicide rate amongst all those physicians?
No, I did not.
Unfortunately, it's orthopedic surgeons. 28% of physician suicides are orthopedic surgeons.
Oh, wow.
Almost a third.
So that's hard to believe. Really? Mm-hmm. It's such a sought after specialty too. Like,
yeah, I don't know the rationale behind that, but I literally just read that article 2 days ago. But how do you balance those things? Because it's different when, and Karen can totally relate to this. She's like, the woman is the care provider. That doesn't mean that, like, I love my boys any less. Boys, if you're watching, and I'll come home and I'll cook like I did tonight and last night, and I'm going to do it this weekend. But how do you balance it? Because it's different for a woman. And I'm not trying to stereotype, but you're the nurturer, right? They're going to almost always come to you first.
That's true.
So how do you do it?
Gosh, I've never thought of it. It's just I've just done it, but maybe it's because I saw my mom doing it. It's just came easy to me because she worked full time, and I would see in the mornings her getting ready for work.
Yeah.
And before she left for work, she would still wake us up. Do our morning hours were our study time. She would sit with us, do our homework with us, like extra study. This is not homework.
Yeah.
Extra study. Like we would be ahead on our syllabus because she was a teacher herself. So she had to do that with us and then go for work later. So at this now, like I've always worked since I've had the kids. I've never had a year, frankly, where I was not working.
Sure.
So I've just been used to the lifestyle. Like Aryan was 6 weeks old when I started my residency. So I still remember dropping him at a daycare. And he was 6 weeks. He didn't know any different.
Right.
But I was, of course, tearful leaving.
It's like typical Indian. She signed him up for boarding school at 6 weeks old. No, I'm kidding. That's a horrible stereotype, but we can laugh about it.
But
right?
there's a story there too. Okay.
Well, I have loved some fishing in the outdoors where I'm free. It's where I spent my time before I hurt my hip and my knee. When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, they soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. I wanna know, doc, why do you think I got some pain in my joints from years of playing hard in this life that's too short? When that doctor asked me, son, how'd you get in this condition? I says, hey, soft bones, I'm just carrying on an old family tradition. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me all about it, doc.